Hello and good evening. Today it is Monday, April 11th, 2022. And for this video today, I want to talk about the XFL and discuss why I am cautiously optimistic about the XFL 3.0 coming next year in 2023. So, when I look at the XFL 2.0 that Vince McMahon brought out in 2020, after an almost 20-year gap between the 1-year XFL that he attempted in 2001 to get off the ground, which it actually survived a full season and there was even a champion. But there was low TV ratings and I think they had issues with television networks for broadcasting in terms of planning a second season. So it all led to the XFL 1.0 ultimately folding after just one season. But then 19 years later, just before the COVID-19 pandemic began 2 years ago, Vince McMahon decided to lay down the groundwork to attempt a second run of the XFL, completely redone without the wrestling elements involved. And, I decided to give the XFL 2.0 a chance. And, excuse me, truth is, I really enjoyed what I was watching. I felt that it was a very good, entertaining game. It was a very entertaining style of football. And I also was really enjoying seeing the very good crowds that the St. Louis Battlehawks were drawing. I mean, I was so happy for those football fans in St. Louis that just in the past 10 years, actually the past 7 years, have lost the Rams because they relocated back to Los Angeles. And, to see how happy those fans were and to see the really good crowds that the Battlehawks were drawing when this league was just playing its very first games after a relaunch after 19 years since the first attempt of the league was played and ultimately failed. So, I was really enjoying the XFL right before the pandemic obviously killed it. And, I agree with people such as Urinating Tree that, I think that Vince McMahon basically did everything right. There were television deals. There were good sponsorship deals. And the game was really enjoyable to watch, in my opinion. I don't know if every one of you watching agrees with me on that. If you don't, hey, I respect your opinion. But, I really liked what I saw. And then, of course, after the XFL had to shut down in 2020 because of COVID, eventually Vince McMahon decided, okay, this isn't going to work. And they ended up, I believe, filing for bankruptcy. And then Dwayne Johnson, his ex-wife, Danny Garcia, and Redbird Capital bought the XFL from McMahon for $15 million. And if I'm incorrect on that, please feel free to correct me. I'm pretty sure they bought it from McMahon for $15 million. So, to buy an entire league that was actually looking to be doing pretty good in its first go as a completely redone league after its first run 19 years prior. The fact that they bought it for only $15 million, which is a ton of money, don't get me wrong, but, I'm actually surprised they didn't pay more for the XFL, especially with the success it seemed to be having in its short-lived run in 2020. But now that Dwayne Johnson and Redbird Capital and his ex-wife, Danny Garcia, have purchased the XFL, I'm cautiously optimistic about its future. I think that with Dwayne Johnson at the helm, there's going to be a lot of additional interest in this league that Vince McMahon, I just don't think, has that type of star power to attract attention the same. You know, I think that with Dwayne Johnson coming in, what I'm trying to say is that he's going to bring in a lot more attention to this league than I think Vince McMahon ever could. That's my opinion. And, you know, I think that you're going to have two groups of football fans come next year when this XFL tries for now a third time to get off the ground and become a long-term success. This time around, when the XFL does start up next year in 2023, not only are you going to have the XFL fans such as myself who were very happy with what we saw in 2020, you're also going to have the football fans that are saying, hey, Dwayne Johnson owns this league. Hey, I love Dwayne Johnson. He's awesome. I'm going to watch this league because of him. And I'm going to give it a chance as well. And there's going to be those two groups of fans. And I think that's going to really increase not only the audience watching the games for TV ratings, I think it'll bring more people through the gates to watch the games in person. And I think that's also going to help significantly with sponsorships, with corporate sponsors. And, you know, I have to admit, I'm really looking forward to seeing the XFL try yet again. I'm really hoping that this is going to be the third time, a case of the third time's the charm. 3 times the charm. So, I've actually heard that so far, the LA Wildcats, the Tampa Bay Vipers, and the New York Guardians may not be coming back this time around. Now, for any of my longtime viewers, I said this before and I'll say this again. Truth is, I was hoping that for next year, the XFL would leave all of the 8 teams they had in 2020 completely intact, leave the teams where they were, and just work on getting through one entire season before you start moving teams around. Now, because they've decided to delay the relaunch of the XFL till next year, I could see them taking advantage of that to move and retool some things, like, say, moving the LA Wildcats to somewhere like Las Vegas. I hear the cities that they could be putting teams in are Orlando for sure, Las Vegas, and I can't remember what the other one was. I think the other one was San Antonio. I could be wrong. Yeah. So, it sounds like the other 5 cities, Seattle, the DC Defenders, the St. Louis Battlehawks, and I'm just trying to remember the other 2 if I can. Please bear with me, folks. It's been a while. Okay, there was the Houston, I think they were the Roughnecks. I don't think they're staying. There's the Dallas... were they the Dallas Outlaws? No, I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up to remember. I apologize. But I think Dallas, Seattle, DC, St. Louis, and there's one other one that I just can't think of for this video. But yeah, 5 of the cities are supposedly staying for next year. And then 3 of them, the New York Guardians, the LA Wildcats, which I figured the LA Wildcats would move because I think they would do better in a different city, and Orlando. I mean, no. LA's moving. The Guardians are not going to be in New York by the sounds of it. And I think, what was the other team that's not going to stick around? I think it's the team in Houston, the Roughnecks, that might be moving. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just trying to remember just on the spot here. But yeah, so most of the teams are going to be staying, which I can live with that, especially knowing that St. Louis is going to be in it again. I'm really happy about that. But, you know, I'd really like to see the XFL attempt to put a team in San Diego after the Chargers relocated to Los Angeles. I think a team in San Diego, I have a sneaking suspicion it would be very well received there. So I'm hoping that they get a chance at some kind of professional football again. Now, the thing here, though, is that I'm cautiously optimistic. Now, I can tell there are a lot of people that seem to be quite excited about this, which is great. And truth is, I'm excited too. I'm really hoping that this time around, they're actually going to be able to play a full season for a change for the first time in over 20 years. So, you know, the one thing that I'm concerned about is that when this league comes back, I mean, we saw what happened when the Omicron variant showed up, and all of a sudden, just as things were starting to reopen, at least it didn't happen in the United States, but here in Canada, they started shutting things down again. They stopped allowing fans in sporting arenas for a while. And, you know, if something like that happens again, that could be an issue if it happens in the United States, at least. But as I say that, though, I'm optimistic that that's hopefully not going to be the case this time around. But yeah, that's something that, you know, what if it mutates again? And next thing you know, oh, well, you know, we got to shut the season down. That would suck. But also the other thing, too, is with this new modern XFL, we still have yet to see an entire full season of this new XFL play out. And whether it was the first attempt at the XFL in 2001, the second attempt that was canceled for no reason of its own, it was only canceled because of COVID-19. You know, we have yet to see this league not only complete one full season, but return for a second season. So, for me, you know, I'm still at a point at this point in time as I'm filming this where I'm optimistic about it actually working this time, especially with how well it worked in the short-lived run in 2020. But until I see a full season play out and get completed, I'm still kind of in a mindset of I'll believe it when I see it. And I hope that this time the XFL is here to stay. Because I think the idea of a springtime football league is a really good idea. I mean, for any of you fellow Canadians out there, I know it seems like a lot of us younger people don't seem to watch the CFL anymore, which is unfortunate, in my opinion. I'm a huge CFL fan. I love the CFL. But in the summertime, traditionally, as a Canadian football fan, there's CFL football starting in June or July. You have that playthrough till usually November. This past Grey Cup wasn't played until December, which was crazy. And then the NFL runs until the Super Bowl in February. Now it's about another week further into February now because they've added an extra regular season game. But then between March and June, there's no springtime football. Now, I do think there's a new football league that's just started called the USFL, I think. I'm not sure. But, you know, I know one thing. Next year when the XFL does start, I'm definitely going to be giving that league a chance. And I'm looking forward to it. But, you know, the idea of a league playing from February right after the Super Bowl through to May or even June, that is something that I'm on board with. That would be great to see. And I think with Dwayne Johnson at the helm running this now, I do see this league doing well. But the thing is, We have to see this league complete a full season to know if it's for real, in my opinion. Now, truth is, I think this time around it's going to work out for the long term and actually be a permanent fixture in North American professional football. At least I'm hoping. But as I say, I'm cautiously optimistic. I just hope something doesn't show up to derail it this time around. The first run, it had certain things and low TV ratings that just caused it all to not work out and be a failure. The second time around, the only reason it screwed up was because of COVID. No reason of its own. So I'm excited about this third time around. And I just hope, and I'm cautiously optimistic that this time it's going to work out. But also on top of that, if it does get through one full season, I'm hoping that we're eventually going to start seeing the XFL do some expansion. I've heard a few people mention the city Birmingham, Alabama. I believe that's where Birmingham is. Sorry, I'm not too knowledgeable on that. I apologize. But I'd like to see a team there, and I'd like to see a team eventually in San Diego. And if this league really gets off the ground, I'd like to see it do a little bit of expansion. I think that would be really, really cool. But yeah, I'm going to leave this video at that. I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. I like where this is going. I just hope this time around it's for real. It's here to stay. But as I say, until I see it complete a full season, I'm still in the mindset of I'll believe it's for real when I see it. And hopefully it's going to go from being cautiously optimistic to being over the moon happy, saying, hey, this is going to be long term. This is awesome. So anyway, if you got any comments down below, feel free to comment. Do you feel optimistic about this? Are you still cautiously optimistic like me? I'd be curious to hear people's thoughts on this. I'll leave this video and bring it to a wrap at this point. With that, you guys take care. And as always, bye for now.